Hello, hello. Let's see. Yeah, should work. Should work. All right. Well, hello everybody. Today I'm gonna try to make a social media website. I found this tutorial online, and yeah, let's get to it.
Welcome to this series. Series on creating a social website from scratch. So what we mean by from scratch is because we are going to code everything in here, no plugins, no frameworks, and then we're not going to use any special software to do this apart from a text editor. So all we're going to be doing is typing text and coding in that manner. The reason I chose to do this is because you can learn a lot by doing everything yourself. So you don't need any prior programming knowledge. You don't need to be a programmer at this point. I'll teach everything from scratch as if you are a beginner. So don't worry if this is your first time creating websites. So this is an example of what we're going to be creating. So this is somebody's profile here with a list of friends, some posts, and then a section to create a post, and so on. And then here we have an actual timeline to show other people's posts as well. All right, so let's see a list of things you're going to actually learn in here.
Hello and welcome to this tutorial.
First of all, you learn these three programming languages. That's HTML, CSS, and PHP. And then you're going to learn how to create a database using MySQL. And then we will learn how to create, read, update, and delete records from this database, because every dynamic website needs a database to keep its information. And then you're going to learn how to create a database using MySQL. And then we will learn how to create, read, update, and delete records from this database, because every dynamic website needs a database to keep its information. So you're going to learn how to create a sign up and login system for your users, adding profile settings for each user. Then you learn how to create a system where the users can upload images, and those images will be cropped and resized in real time, and that will create an image gallery of some sort, just like on Facebook. So we are also going to learn how to create posts, how users can create posts and actually comment on those posts. And later on, we're going to learn how to add notifications so that your users can know who commented and liked their post, and so on. So a lot to learn in this series, and like I said, you don't need any experience whatsoever because I'll explain everything from scratch. So I'll try to release these videos at 1 video per day. So if you haven't welcome back. This is a quick video to explain a little bit of how to make the most, how to learn quicker using these videos. So in this entire series, the equipment we're going to be using, or the app we'll be using to create our website, is Notepad. So this Notepad right here, every Windows system comes with Notepad. So there's no excuse that you don't have the software that's required. This is all you need. And also you need a browser like Mozilla Firefox or some other browser of some kind so that you can see what you're actually creating. Okay? So if you have a Notepad and you have a browser, you are good to go. Now, I have this other text editor here called Sublime Text. Now, this is exactly like Notepad, only that it's got a little bit of advanced features. So you can either use this or you can use Notepad. I'll explain in the next video how to get Sublime Text if you want that, so don't worry about it. Now, the second thing is that, first of all, I want you to watch every video that comes up, watch it to the end, just to see what's involved in the video. And then when it gets to the end, watch it again. But this time, I want you to open your text editor, either Notepad or Sublime Text, and type along as I am teaching. You're also typing along because that helps your muscle memory. It also helps your brain to keep the information for much longer. And then if you're just watching without typing, it's going to look like it's a lot of work that you're watching. But when you actually type it and you see the result in your browser, it's going to encourage you to do more. So, and as I am typing this code in here, if you don't understand any part, for example, this area here, you don't understand any of this. Let's say, for example, what this background color does, you can simply copy the text there and open up your web browser and just paste that into Google, and it's going to give you the information on that item so that in case I didn't explain better, you can get the information here. All right, so it explains what this is doing here and what it is used for.
Can y'all
So
hear
if you
me?
follow these steps, you watch the video twice and you type along with me, and then where you have a real problem, you Google it, you're going to learn rather quickly and you realize that this is actually not difficult stuff. It's very easy. And also, finally, you have the option to leave a comment in every video, and I'll obviously get back to every single comment. If you have a problem, just leave a comment there, and I'll give you alternatives, and I'll give you other ways of achieving the same thing. Or if you don't understand, I'll explain a little bit better. So I hope to see you in the next video where we actually begin learning web design. Hello and welcome to the first in this series of creating your own social website. In this particular episode, we're learning what is called HTML. Now, HTML is a language that we use to tell a browser how to display a website. A website is simply text that you display to somebody else, which is online. And for us to describe how we want to design the website, we use HTML. So in order to create these websites, we use a text editor. Now, the text editor that comes with Windows is Notepad. So you can use Notepad, no problem. That's fine. But there's something better than Notepad, something like Sublime Text. So just Google Sublime Text and download it, and then we can install. But if you don't have the internet, Notepad will do just fine. You can also use Notepad++. You can download that and install, and we can get going. So I'm using Sublime Text, which is here, but don't worry if you have Notepad, that's okay. It'll work just the same. All right, so to begin, what we are creating is this. So this is a login page for our website. Of course, we'll change. That's okay. It'll work just the same. All right, so to begin, what we are creating is this. So this is the login page for our website. Of course, we'll change. like so. Okay, so if we go and refresh our website, we see that we have, let's put, now inside this box we have the word Facebook, and then we have this sign up button. So let's put, for us we are putting my book, and let's leave a space and put the sign up here, like so. Okay, so if we go and refresh our website, we see that we have that text here, but it doesn't exactly look like this now, does it? So let's style the box a little bit more, especially with the color. Okay, now in order to do this, let me leave some space here. Let me do this. Okay, so that I see that the word is contained inside this div. Now, by doing this, I haven't broken anything. If we go back here, we'll see that everything is exactly the same because white space doesn't matter. Now, if I go in the div, opening div, put a space, and then type the word style, like that, style equals open and close inverted comma. When the browser sees this, it's going to know that whatever information is in these brackets is used to describe how to display this particular box, the div. All right. So for example, let's give our div a specific height, okay? Because right now, our div is actually here, but we can't see it because it's completely height, div. All right. So for example, let's give our div a specific height, okay? Because right now, our div is actually here, but we can't see it because it's completely flat. So let's give it some height of some kind. So in order to do that, let me go in here in the style and just say height, like that, simple as that. And then I'll put a full colon, and then I'm going to put 100, and then I'll put px. So let me explain this. So this is obviously the property we're talking about height. We're telling it that the height, now if we put a full colon there, we're saying the value of the height is this part. Now px stands for pixels. So every screen has dots on it that are called pixels. So we are using pixels as the unit for this thing to know how much to actually give that height. So if I save this, go back here, refresh, we still see nothing. The div is actually there, but because it's transparent, we can't see it. So let's give it a background color. So I'm just going to go here. Now you see at the end of the px, I've put a semicolon, which means I'm telling it that what I'm going to type after the semicolon is another property. This one is one property. We're going to type another one here called background color. Now, this is the reason why I'm using Sublime Text. As you can see, it gave me some suggestions there, which makes typing very easy. All I had to do was press enter, select what I want, press enter, like this. Let me do that again. So I can move using the arrow keys on my keyboard to choose what I want, and then I just press enter. So that's why I'm using Sublime Text instead of normal Notepad. All right, so background color. Now, this is weird here. We can type a color here directly. Let's let's write something like black and put our semicolon there. If I go back, I refresh, now you see that there's a bar there. Okay, write something like black and put our semicolon there. If I go back, I refresh, now you see that there's a bar there. Okay, which we are getting closer to this, but the color we want is actually this one. So how exactly do we get this color? We can try to guess, but that won't be very accurate. So this is where Photoshop comes in. So I open Photoshop here. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, don't worry, because there's another solution apart from Photoshop, and we're going to see what that is. So if I get the color picker from Photoshop and select this color right there, it's going to show me the color there on these color swatches. Then I can click there. Once I click there, I can go down here where there's a hash and there's a bunch of numbers here. So this is showing me the color that I've selected. So this is the code to that color, 3C5A99, right? Copy. So I'm going to copy that, cancel. And then I'm going to come back to my text here on the background color. Instead of just saying black, I'm going to put that code. But for the browser to know what type, what I'm using, this is just not the word black. What I'm using is this type of color. I'm going to put a hash at the beginning like that. Hash, and then the color, like so. So if I go back to my browser and right click, you see that the color has actually, and then the color, like so. So if I go back to my browser and right click, you see that the color has actually surfaced, which is pretty neat. That's the exact same color there and there. Now, if you don't have Photoshop, that's fine. Just open the image. Now this image, just check the link in the description, and this image is provided. You can download it there. Now you check this image and open it with Paint, because Paint comes with Windows. So definitely everyone will have Paint. So we'll go here and click on this color selector, the color picker, and then click on that color that we want. And then go to what edit colors here, click on edit colors, and then this thing comes up, which will show you what color you have actually selected. So here it says red, green, and blue. So there's another way to actually display the color. Instead of using this hash, we can say RGB, which represents red, green, and blue, because this is what we have from Notepad. We don't have the other hashed version. So we're going to select the red, paste it there, comma. Let's go back and select the green, come and paste it there, comma, and then let's come back for the last time and get the blue, copy, and then paste it there. So you notice I'm putting commas here, so to show it that red is this amount, green is this amount, blue is that amount. Now the minimum colors you can, the minimum numbers you can put here is 0, and the maximum is 255. So you can create your own colors by just changing these numbers here to numbers between 0 and 255. Okay, so let me save this, and we go back. We're going to notice that nothing has actually changed. Okay. So that's how you use Photoshop to get your colors, and that's how you use Paint as well to get your colors from a specific website. Okay, so let me close this because I won't be needing them anymore, and we continue. So the next thing that we're going to do is change the text color. As you can see, the text is quite dark, so let me change that by doing, because here we did background color. Now for text, it's called color, just like that. And we want the color, in this case, to be white. So we can write white like that, but if you check here, it's not exactly white. It's a little bit bluish. So I have the code for that color here, and that code is let me just copy it here and put it there. So here we are using the hash version. So just copy these numbers here and put in your website as you are following along. And as you can see, there's the color we've changed. And then we can change the font size to make it bigger. So now I want a font size that is quite big in here. So I'll just type font dash size like so, and then put 40 pixels like that, px. Okay, so when I come back here, and there we go. Okay, so as you can see, there's a consistent way here. So and then put .40 pixels like that, px. Okay, so when I come back here, and there we go. Okay, so as you can see, there's a consistent way we are doing things here. We are putting styles one by one, and slowly but sure, our website is actually coming to life. Okay, so that's it for this particular video. In the next one, we're going to learn how to move forward. Since we already know the basics now, I'm going to speed over in the next video so that we can actually get something that looks like this. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Welcome back. All right, so if you haven't seen the previous parts, please see the other parts in this series. Okay, so last time we looked at these styles here that we added. Now, if there's any style that you don't understand here, please just copy it, paste it in Google, and Google will give you more information here. We are putting style here, information on how that particular style is used and what are styles in the first place. Okay, then we move on. Now, if you've noticed here, as we add more styles, now imagine if there's 100 styles that we have to add here. This is getting very, very long. So there's another way to actually create styles. Now, this other way information is actually better, and it's called CSS. So what we've been learning so far is HTML. Now, to use this other method of styling, we're going to jump over to what is called CSS, cascading style sheets. Okay. Now, in order to create, we're simply moving these styles to another location so that we leave space to display actual data here instead of having styles in the same place as well. So let's go up here before the body tag here, between the body and the head. Let's put another tag called style. Okay. Show data here instead of having styles in the same place as well. So let's go up here before the body tag here, between the body and the head. Let's put another tag called style. Okay. You don't need to type this part. That's fine. Let me just remove that. It's unnecessary these days. So now, as you can see, I've created another tag called style. So now I can move all the styles for these items into there. Now, the advantage of doing this is that, let's imagine I had 100 of these divs and I want them to look exactly the same. I would need to type in styles for each and every div as they are going down here. Now, it's okay for 1 or 2 divs, but when you have 100 divs, that becomes a big problem because you have a lot of repeated information. So to avoid that, we'll use this new method. If you don't get it at first, that's fine. Just watch the video again until you actually get it. And it's very important that while I'm doing this, you're also actually typing on your computer, because with practice, that's how you actually get the information to stick in your head. All right, so in order for us to move the styles here, we're simply going to get all these styles from there. Now, okay, before we move the styles, let's do this. Let's give this div an ID, because we want a way to be able to know. It's like we're giving it a name so we can call it later. So I'm going to give it an ID and say ID is equal to. Now this ID, you can add any word that you want here. That's up to you. So I call this one blue, or let me just call it bar, something simple like that. So I'm going to call it a bar. So this is the ID. So if I go to styles here, I can tell styles that I want to create styles for the item with an ID of bar, like that. Now, before the name, we have to put a hash like so, because to tell it, this hash tells the browser that this name is actually an ID of one of the items in the website. Then we put a curly bracket like that, open and close curly bracket, and then we get all these styles that we've put here, cut them, and then we put them in there like this. Okay, then we can remove this part called styles here because we don't need it anymore. Now, if I go back to my website and refresh, you see that nothing has changed because this acts exactly like what was here. Now, if I write a wrong name here by mistake like this and go back, you see that all the styles disappear because the website can't find this ID. So you have to make sure that what you type here is exactly the same ID as down there. Okay. Now, the advantage of doing this is because if there were many of these divs, all I have to do in order to give them exactly this styling is to just give them the same ID as this div. So let me copy two divs here. Let me do this. Make two divs here and just give them the same name bar bar. And when I refresh now, you see now that there's two of the same thing styled exactly the same. So this is why this method is better because I don't have to retype my styles for another item. So this is called CSS. Okay. So if there's anything you don't really understand in here, just Google it and you get more information, or you can rewatch the video again. All right, so what we've done here is simply introduced CSS into the mix. Now, please note that the empty space in here is not important, so I can easily do this and go to the edges of these styles like that, where there's a semicolon, and do this and do that. So this, as you can see, is more readable. It's user-friendly because right here I can see how many styles are there and which styles are actually there, and I can disable any of these one at a time if I want to. So this is exactly as it was. If I save this and refresh, you see that nothing has actually changed because it's still working. So as you can see, this is a much better way of adding styles. Now, as we add more items, we're going to add more styles here with different names, maybe bar2 like this, and then we put some more styles in there and so on. So this will be the section for putting styles. Okay, so let me close that. And that's the end of this particular lesson, and meet me in the next one. Okay, so let's continue where we left off. We have much to do. This is the target that we want to create, and we are here. So this doesn't look very much like where we are going so far. So let's continue and add some more styles. Okay, so now we added a font size here of 40 pixels to the entire bar, this bar here, which now is the target that. So let's continue and add some more styles. Okay, so now we added a a font size here of 40 pixels to the entire bar, this bar here, which is this blue bar, but I don't want sign up to have that font size. The only one that should have that is this. So instead of putting it there, we're going to put it somewhere else. So what I will do is simply go to my book here and sign up and give these guys each a div of their own like this. So I'm going to add div like that, and then I'm going to close it here. Okay, so open div, close div. I'll do the same here, div, and then I'm going to close it there. So the reason I'm doing this, I'm just telling it to separate these two. So this will be in a container of its own, and this will be in another container. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I want to be able to style this text differently to this one. So that's why I'm putting them in separate containers. So I don't have to put the styles here because the styles I'm going to put here are actually very few. So I can simply still add them here without a problem. So I'm just going to say style. So we've added the equal sign there, and I'm going to move this font size to here instead. Okay, so there is our font size so that only this guy gets there instead. Okay. Okay, so there is our font size so that only this guy gets the font size that is big. So my book, but sign up remains small. Okay, now if you've noticed, sign up has gone down and my book has stayed there. Now the reason here is because if you've noticed this bar, this div we created originally, it goes up to 100% in width. So here is only this guy gets the font size that is big. So my book, but sign up remains small. Okay, now if you've noticed, sign up has gone down and my book has stayed there. Now the reason here is because if you've noticed this bar, this div we created originally, it goes up to 100% in width. So even here, the div we've created with my book is going all the way up to the other end, and the sign up bar is going all the way up to the other end. This is why they've moved to separate lines. So we can change things a little bit. Now this sign up button is going to have a lot of styles. So in here, let's give it an ID instead so that we can put our styles at the top here. So let me just say this sign up. I'm going to call it sign up, just like that. Or I could put an underscore and say sign up button like that so that it's more descriptive. That's fine as well. So let me go here and put the hash as mentioned earlier and put the sign up button, open, close bracket like that. And then let's start adding styles. So as soon as I put the ID here and put a style there, the browser will know that whatever I put here is styling this particular box, the sign up. So to start with, let's give it a background color, the div, so that we see what's going on there. So I'll add a background color. Now I already have the color here. So let me just copy this particular color to save time and put it here. So that's the background color right there. So if I refresh, we don't see anything. And why is that? ID sign up button. Oh, I've put two of these, sorry. Let me refresh. And we see the green bar going all the way there. Now what we're going for is a button like this one. This is what we're going for. So let's style it a bit more to give it this look. Now the first thing we'll notice is that the font is very different from this. So let's add some nicer looking font. We won't get exactly this, but something better. Now there's a font that's available in all computers. It's called Tahoma, so I'm going to use that one. Now I can add a font to just this part. Now it means I'll keep adding the font to every one of these. So instead, what I'll do is if I add a font to the parent, like the body here, it means everything inside the body will get that font. So that's what I'll do here. I'll just say style here with equal sign. Oh, sorry. There we go. And then I'm going to say font. Now, font, the font name is called font family. It's down here. And then we'll name it Tahoma. Tahoma, like so. Okay. So that's the font family we are having there. So if I refresh, you see that the font has changed. Pretty good. Okay, so now that the font has changed, now even the white here, if you notice, the whole body here is not exactly white on the body. So let me add another body color down there. And so I'm going to use background color. I'll just copy this and change the actual color, paste. And then I have an actual color. color here that I'm going to use. So let me copy that. I can find it. Where is it? Okay, there we go. So I'm going to replace this color with that one. So replace with this one. Again, I'm typing double those. And when I refresh, you see that the color of the entire document actually changes to what we want. So now let's redesign this button here and move forward. So let me go to the button here, sign up button. So we have a background color, but we want the width as well. We want to limit the width. So I'm going to say width of the background color of the button, sorry. Let's give it something like 70 pixels. So you can experiment with this. There's no fixed values here. I'm just going to say 70 pixels. Now if I go back and refresh, we're going to see that the width has reduced. So let's add some more things. For example, let's align the text to the center. I'm going to say text align, like so, and let's choose center. Okay, and so if I refresh again, you see that the text has moved to the center, but I want more space between the text itself and the div. So to do that, I'm going to use what is called padding, and I'm going to add a padding of how many pixels? Let's give it a padding of 4 pixels because we can actually test this, and if it doesn't look right, we can always change it later. So let me try 4 pixels here. Okay, and it looks more like a button. But if you notice here, the button has a slight round corners, a little bit of round corners. So in order to do that, we're going to use what is called radius. What is that thing? Border radius. 4 pixels. So don't worry if all these properties are confusing. As you learn more of them, they're going to become easier to remember. But if you don't remember them, that's fine. You can write them somewhere in a separate document for use later. Okay, so let me refresh that, and you see we have a little bit of corners there, which is exactly what we need. And another thing is I want it separate from this text. I want it on the other side instead. We're not copying exactly what this is. I want it on the other side. So I'm going to use another property called float, and we tell it to float, to the right, like so. Float to the right. So if I refresh, you see that it goes to the right here. Now I want also some space between this blue bar, the main bar, and the text here, and also with the button. So I'm going to add padding on the main box, this bar right here. I'm going to say I want some padding of the same 4 pixels. Add padding to the right here. Now I want also some space between this blue bar, the main bar, and the text here, and also with the button. So I'm going to add padding on the main box, this bar right here. I'm going to say I want some padding of the same 4 pixels. And let me refresh. And as you can see, that looks much, much better. Okay, so we are getting there slowly and slowly. The only thing that's remaining is the actual login form here. So let's go and do that in the next video. Thanks. And let's continue. So what we want to do now is to create this bar down here that contains the login form. So to do that, let's go down here. You see, this is the big blue bar here, which is this one. So we want to create something below the bar. So even in here, we'll create another div below this div. Here, which is this one. So we want to create something below the bar. So even in here, we'll create another div below this div. So let's go down here and say div, like so. So to create opening and closing. So make sure opening and closing div are there. And then let's add some styles. Now, of course, the styles on this one will be very few, so we can still write them right here without going up there. So we're going to say background color. The color I want for this background is white, so I can still write white like that. It still works. And then I'm going to give it a width. Now, width, I want it to be 800 pixels because I don't want it to go all the way to the, sorry, this is not width, that's width. So width like that, 800 pixels. So, and then as usual, we need to give it some kind of a height for us to see it. So I'll say 400 pixels like that. So let's go back and see what we have done here. So we have this white bar here, but we want it in the center. So I'll say 400 pixels like that. So let's go back and see what we have done here. So we have this white bar here, but we want it in the center. So we're going to tell it that the margin, now margin is the distance between your object and the next object. That's the margin. So we're going to tell it the margin on the right and the margin on the left. Now, instead of doing margin right, margin left, we can still just write margin and say auto. So what that does, automatic takes it to the center. So you see now it's in the center like that. Okay. Now, if we want to add another margin on the top, we can still do that and say margin top, even at the end here, margin slash top, and then let's give it maybe 20 pixels. Maybe that should be 100 actually. Let me see what that does. Okay, there we go. Maybe too much. Let's put something like 50. Okay, that's much better. Now, as you've noticed, the styles are too many. I thought there would be few, but they're too many. So what we do is let's go up here in the styles and create another one. Let's just say login bar or something. You can name these anything that you want. Is there another one with login bar? There's just bar there. So maybe as long as the names are different, that's all that matters. Still, you can write bar 1 or bar 2. We can still do this. We can write bar 2 like that. That's also fine. As long as here we give this an ID of bar 2, like so. So that's bar 2. And let's get all the styles that we've added here cut. Let's remove styles here entirely and then go to bar 2 and paste them here. So this will still work like this. No problem. Same. But in the interest of seeing them look neat, we're going to do that to them. Press enter, like that. So that's bar 2, which is this one. Now this bar is the one here, and we need to add some titles in here. So for example, there's login to Facebook. So let's start with that. So let's go in here and just say so this will still work like this, no problem. Same. But in the interest of seeing them look neat, we're going to do that to them. Press enter, like that. So that's bar 2, which is this one. Now this bar is the one here, and we need to add some titles in here. So for example, there's login to Facebook. So let's start with that. So let's go in here and just say login to my book, like so. And let's see what that does. So you see it's right at the corner there, and that's not exactly what we want. We want it in the center. Now, since we want everything in the center, it's better to tell this container to put everything in the center. So this container is this bar 2. So let's just go up here. And first of all, let's add some padding. just in case. So let me add padding of 10 pixels. And then also let me tell it that the text alignment, align all the text into the center, like so. So when I go back and refresh, everything is in the center like that. Now, okay, let's add some input first. So here, there's this part where the user types something, a username, email, or password, and then the login button. Now, these are not divs, because the user has to type something in there. They are called inputs, because we are getting an input from the user. Now, in order to show an input, let's go down here, because we are getting an input from the user. Now, in order to show an input, let's go down here. We write the keyword input. Like so. Now, if you see here, there's this type thing here. Now, we have to tell it what type of input we're using. This type is called text, where a user is allowed to type something. Okay? And then, once we do that, there are two inputs. So let me just copy this one. And then also, surprisingly, the button here is also an input. Now, this is an input called submit. Now, the reason we're using this is so that when the user clicks this button, immediately the information is submitted where we want it submitted. Okay? We won't be using this name thing here. So instead, let's give it an ID. Instead, let's change this to ID so that we can have an ID to use here. Okay? So let's name this one, excuse me, button, and let's name this one text, just text like that. So that's the ID right there. Okay, so we have these. Now let's go and see what we've done. Okay, it doesn't look exactly like what we want. Now, if you notice, they're all so we have these. Now let's go and see what we've done. Okay, it doesn't look exactly like what we want. Now, if you notice, they're all on the same line like this. Now, the reason is simple, because white spaces here don't count. When the browser is reading the information, it doesn't care that this and this is on another line. It will read it as one line. Now, in order to tell it to put these things on separate lines, you have to use an actual tag called the break tag. So to write the break tag, you put the anchor tag and put BR and close it like that. Now, this, unlike all these other tags that you have an opening and a closing, the break tag doesn't actually have opening and closing. It's a self-closing tag. Usually, we would write it like this, but even like this is fine. So if I put break tags here and there, then you're going to see that everything breaks into pieces. But I want more spaces there, so I'm going to put 2 break tags each. So I'll just add one more break tag on each of these. Refresh, and that looks fair. So I'm going to put 2 break tags each. So I'll just add one more break tag on each of these. Refresh, and that looks much, much better. Now I want more space at the top here. So what's causing the space here is the padding from the big box. So let me go to the big box here, which is called bar 2. There's padding of 10, but I want more padding at the top. So I'm going to say padding top and put a bigger number. Let's say 50 pixels. Yeah, should have gone bigger, but that's enough. Let's say padding of 10, but I want more padding at the top. So I'm going to say padding top and put a bigger number. Let's say 50 pixels. Yeah, should have gone bigger, but that's enough. Okay. All right. So at this point, we have created these, and you see submit query here. We want to write login inside there instead of that. So what we do here, we go on the submit button, because this is the button right here, and then let's leave a space and write something called value. So we're telling it that the value of this button is login. Let's leave a space, and that looks much better. So not there yet, but at least we are seeing where this is going. And in the interest of keeping the videos short, I'm going to style these in the next video. So see you in the next video. So this is where we stopped from. I noticed the box here has gone low, has increased in height because of the padding we added at the top here. So we can just go in and reduce the height of this bar. So let's give it maybe 200 pixels. And also if you don't add the height, it will be automatic. The height will become automatic. So you can leave out the height if you want. For example, if I leave it out like so, it's going to be automatic like that. So you might want that. That's fine. So now let's style these text boxes here. Now, if you notice, the text boxes have the same ID, and that's in text fine. So now let's style these text boxes here.